Herod lay absolutely still. 100 horrified doctors hovered over him. Was he dying? Was he dead? Stop gawping! He roared. This is supposed to be a Dead Sea rest cure, not a circus! Any news from the Emperor? The doctors shook their heads. And bring me my will! I want to change it again! His lawyers came rushing over with mounds of paper. And where are those foreign professors? The minute they find this so-called king, I'm the first to know, okay? The moment the professors got to Bethlehem, they grabbed the nearest passerby. Where is the Great One, they asked. What are you on about, came the reply. The new king, the one who's just been born. You off your trolley, said the passerby. Push off before I stick one on you. The professors couldn't understand it. Where was the press? Where was the publicity? The biggest event in the history of civilization was taking place right under their noses, and no one had a clue what was going on. The doctors stood with the water poised. Right now, ordered Herod. Oh. Ah, that's better. Have those lawyers finished my will yet? Yes, Your Majesty. Here it is, Your Majesty. Well, change it again, and he tore it to pieces. I want my eldest son, Archelaus, to get 3 palaces and the province of Galilee. I want Herod Jr. to get... No! Start again. And where are those professors? They haven't come back yet, Your Majesty. We'll get security to winkle them out. I want them banged up till they start to speak. How many kings of the Jews are there? 1, Your Majesty. You, Your Majesty. Exactly! And no one better forget it! The professors scoured the newspapers, nothing. The listings, magazines, nothing. An old crazy, one of the sons of light who lived some mad religious life on the shores of the Dead Sea, was ranting away on a soapbox. God doesn't want your money, he shouted. Live like us in the desert. It's your only chance. A Roman patrol moved in. Move along, he shouted. The shopkeepers are complaining. You're putting off the customers. The man raved on. When the great day comes, God won't reward the rich and powerful. He'll be searching out the poorer quarters where the ragged people go. Then his kingdom on earth will be ours, and ours alone. The Romans kicked him to the ground while the crowd jeered. Yeah, some kingdom, they laughed. What, the kingdom of the slums, eh? Yes, said one of the professors. That's it. We've been looking in the wrong place altogether. You're right, chorused the other professors excitedly. And they headed off for the inner city. Herod flicked a little red worm into the water. I'm feeling better now, he beamed. Much better. His doctors breathed a sigh of relief. And I want to alter my will again. The lawyers went rushing round looking for more paper. Herod flicked another red worm off his arm. Where are these stupid things coming from? He grumbled. Right, the will. I want to give Philip all my land. I want to give Herod Jr. all my castles. I want... No. Start again. And he heaved his massive, hairy body out of the water. Come on, everyone, he ordered. We're going home. And as he limped up the beach, everyone could see, but no one dared tell him where the little worms were coming from. The running sores on his back were as mouldy and rotten as a maggot-infested apple. And don't forget those professors, he roared. If they won't talk, have them tortured! Surely a king couldn't be born in a place like this. It stinks like a sewer, said a professor. Let's get out of here before we catch typhoid. Half a dozen shepherds were staggering out of a lean-to, their eyes shining. Now I can die happy, said the oldest one. Thank God I was privileged to see him. The professors could barely contain their eagerness. Who? They demanded. Our baby king, said the old man. He's just been born. The professors whooped with excitement. So this was the moment. The magical, mystical king was about to be revealed to them. The fulfillment of 1,000 years of prophecy. They burst through the door. But there were no golden thrones, no halos, no heavenly choirs, just spiders, a mangy donkey, and a scruffy couple looking like those travellers who beg outside shops with spiky hair and a dog. "You want to see our little Admiral?" said the man. "He's in that food trough." Very hygienic, thought the professors. Was this what they'd come all this way for? To see some scruffy little kid in a shed? There was a long, embarrassed silence. Then, "Right, well, yes, thank you. We'll be off," said a professor. "Oh, by the way, I bought him this. You can use it to buy him some decent clothes." And he gave Joseph some gold pieces. "And I bought him this," said a second professor. "You can use it to fumigate the room. The instructions are on the packet." And he gave Joseph some frankincense. But the third professor didn't say a word. He just gave Mary a little pot, and then the professors had gone. "What's in that then?" said Joseph. "I don't know," replied Mary. "It smells a bit weird." And she went back to feeding the baby. That night, the professors dreamt about King Herod. They dreamt he was calling to them that he wanted to see the baby. But when they brought it to him, he turned into a huge monster, and his teeth dripped blood, and his mouth spat fire. Next morning, they set off again. But they didn't go back to Herod, and they didn't tell anybody what they'd seen. They just went back home another way, and quietly got on with their own lives. Which was tough on the messenger who had to break the news to Herod. "I want Bethlehem sealed off by a division of commandos now," he said, as he shook the messenger by the throat. "I want a list of all the little boys who've been born there in the last 6 months, and I want them all dead by tonight, and not one will escape, do you hear me? Not one!" There was a noise outside. Was it a robber? Had word got round about the gold coins? No. Lying in the courtyard in a pool of blood was the Son of Light. Mary and Joseph knelt by his side and cleaned his wounds. "This town has a curse on it," murmured the old man. "Everywhere I smell the stink of death." The little baby started to cry. The man staggered inside, then stared at the child and the 3 small presents lying in the food trough. "What are these?" he gasped. "Some wise men turned up and gave them to him," said Mary. "Yeah," added Joseph. "We think he's probably a bit special, actually." The old man started shaking and staggered to his feet. "Get him out of here!" he shouted. "The forces of darkness are after him!" And he shook the presents in Joseph's face. "Can't you see what these are?" he said. "Gold, that means he'll be a king. Frankincense, that means he'll be a priest. And don't you see what's in this little pot? Myrrh! Myrrh! It's what they give to the dead. One day, this child is going to die. And when he does, great things will come to pass. Let's hope it's not today!" "Long live Herod! Long live Herod!" went the crowd. "Louder!" ordered the sergeant with a whip. "Long live Herod!" went the crowd. "Long live Herod!" But Herod didn't even notice. His head was pounding, there was blood coming out of his nose again, and everything was starting to spin. Bang! He collapsed unconscious. Crash! His head bounced against the side of the litter. "Is he dead?" someone whispered. "Is he dead?" The words rippled through the crowd, then through the village, and through the next village, and over the hills, until by the time they'd reached Jerusalem, everyone thought it was true. "He's dead!" they shouted. "King Herod's dead!" Windows were smashed, shops were firebombed. Soon every Jew in town was on the streets rejoicing. "Herod's dead! Herod's dead!" His son Antipater sat in the condemned man's cell, nibbling his nails like a nervous stick insect. When he heard the noise, he let out a whoop of joy. "Find me some paper," he ordered the jailer. "I'm going to write to my Aunt Salome. She tried to save me in the courtroom. Now's her chance to prove she really is on my side. And if you want to earn some money, get it to her quick, okay?" Herod's troops moved into Bethlehem with swords drawn. They searched every house, and when they found a little boy, that was it. Soon the whole place rang to the dreadful sound of mothers crying. On and on they came, their swords stained red, until there ahead of them was the little hotel and the little shack. Back! The door was kicked in. Crash! Half a dozen soldiers burst in. But it was empty. Completely empty. Mary, Joseph, Jesus, and the donkey were heading south, far away from Herod, towards the safety of Egypt. When they got the news about the massacre in Bethlehem, the mob went wild. Firebombs hurtled down on the fire brigade. The whole of Jerusalem seemed wrapped in a blanket of flame. Herod Jr. was fanning his father's face. Philip was stroking his forehead. Archelaus was massaging his feet. "Father," said Herod Jr., "the Emperor's reply has come at last. He says it's okay. If you want Antipater executed, that's fine. Shall I give the order?" Herod sat on his throne, dying. "I don't know," he murmured. "I love him so much." Salome leant over him with a piece of prison notepaper. "This is rather interesting," she said. "It's from Antipater. Apparently, he thinks you're dead already. He wants me to get him out of jail, help him kill your sons, and then split the kingdom with him. Charming boy." Herod's white hand snatched the note and screwed it into a tight ball. "Execute him," he whispered. "Execute him now." Then his hand went limp, and the paper ball dropped to the floor. Antipater climbed slowly to the scaffold. So Salome had outplotted him. Well, she was welcome to all this. Below him lay his father's beloved city, whole blocks being burnt to the ground by the very people he'd built it for. Antipater began to laugh. He laughed and laughed, and then there was silence. And all that could be heard above the crackle of the flames was the creaking of the rope as it swung to and fro. On one side of the room was a great swirl of paper. Drawers full of letters and documents were being hurled this way and that. Philip was rifling through the desks. Archelaus was prizing open the cupboards with a crowbar. Herod Jr. was rummaging through his father's clothes, searching the pockets, ripping open the linings. "Where's the will? Where's the will? Where's the will?" they panted. Herod lay between golden sheets. In his hand was a silver scepter. On his head was a golden crown. He looked every inch the king of the Jews. But Herod didn't care anymore. Herod was dead.